The Perth Racing Preview is where the Straight Up team finds you the winners, and here's the Straight Up team with their preview of Saturday racing from Ascot.
Yes, it's a monster 12-race program awaiting us out at headquarters on Saturday, and joining me in the studio to try and find all of the winners, as he does each and every Thursday, Bradley McManus. Hello, Brad.
Hi, Ross.
How are you?
Very well. Still can't wipe the smile off my face.
Big John.
After meeting the great man last week.
The great man. In the flesh.
Oh.
It was something.
It was. So was the dance floor after the last.
It was. It really kicked off a bit, didn't it?
You were looking resplendent out there.
Resplendent.
Cutting the rug there.
Yes, doing my best.
To Whitney Houston.
Doing my best. And in the absence of Mart, who we hope is enjoying himself and having a nice ice-cold swan draft somewhere.
He's just getting maintenance done on his ankle bracelet. He'll be back soon.
We've got a very special guest joining us, Brad, in his absence, in Giulio Santarelli. A very good afternoon to you, Jules. Thanks for joining us.
No problems at all. I'm just trying to work out the invitation. Now I've worked it out. One fossil out, one fossil in. Where is Marty Young?
Look, your guess is as good as anyone's, I think. He's not the easiest man to find, Jules, as I'm sure you're aware.
Yeah, I'm very well aware of Marty's, but I think we should change his name from Marty Young to maybe Marty Hollywood, because I don't think anyone enjoys a more celebrity lifestyle than our Marty Young.
You make a fairly good point. Or,
seeing it as a 12-event program on Saturday, he bailed out.
Yes, well, that wouldn't surprise me. He does live in the penthouse over there in East Perth, top floor. He does live the life, Mart, doesn't he?
12 races is a bit tough for the old fella these days, I think, to get through.
Yeah.
How many races would he have got through in his form analysis before he said, I've had enough chance.
I'm tipping he got halfway through the first and went, if this is what we're dealing with.
Oh, there you go. Boys, 12-race program on the weekend. I think we should get cracking here on Cyril Flower Stakes Day. Race number 1 is the C Corp Handicap over the 2,200 metres. This is one of those races that was transferred from the abandoned meeting on Wednesday. Jules, if you could take it. You know what, Jules? I reckon if it's one fossil in, one fossil out, we're going to have to handball Mart's roll over to you as well. And
does it?
Mart's, that's just about as far as Mart's contribution goes to the program, as he gives the meerkats. He gets stuck into Brad for the prices he's gone up and he's got wrong. So let's take a look at this market for race number 1.
Number one, Blazing Tycoon opened at $8, out to $9. Doctor Encore, 21's out to $26. Play Fair for Neville Parnham, bit easy, $2.90. 310, currently $3.10. His Eminence, $7.50 in half a point, now $7. The Django Dream opened at $34, now $41. Desert Edge, 9s into 8s. Intervention, $5.50 in half a point to $5. Blazing Casbah, steady at $26. Cerise, 10s into 8s. Surf Point, 21 out to 41. And Heaps of Moolah, 14s to 18s. And Miss Anonymity opened at $18. We now have $31 on offer.
Local pro money intervention, $400 at the $6 there. His Eminence, local pro money, $300 at the $7.50. Crezzy, a couple of hundred at the $11. That's about it. Ross?
Quiet betting, medium, race number 1. Not a lot of interest early.
Yeah, it's an affair of mild quality.
Yes. Well, one of yours, Bradley, is our current favourite in this race. That is Play Fair, who does look a stayer on the rise. He looks quite progressive, this horse, I think, and no surprise to see him competing in, well, we say Saturday company because it's on a Saturday, but it was supposed to be a race that was run at the midweeks. But no surprise to see him step into genuine Saturday company sooner rather than later. He looks a nice stayer on the rise. It was a really strong win last start from where he found himself in running. But while you could say he didn't beat a great deal, it was more the manner in which he did so that really impressed me, Brad. And while he has that wide barrier to deal with here, there's just not a lot of depth to this race, which is I guess why I am somewhat keen on his chances in the opening race, although the staying races, as we know, are not my usual cup of tea. But Intervention's a horse I was pretty keen to follow into her run last start, gentlemen. I thought she was really disappointing on that occasion. She may not have been suited to leading, but she got things pretty, I thought, softly and compounded once they straightened for home. They've tinkered with a bit of gear here with her. Blinkers on, tongue tie on, winkers come off. And her runs prior to that last start run were more than good enough to be measuring up in this field. Not a great race to open the program from a depth perspective, but I do think Play Fair with the right run in transit's going to prove very hard to beat.
Yes, similar thoughts, Rolls. I'd want $4 to get involved. It's the horse I want to be on. I'd want $4. Set up slightly sticky. Does seem enough tempo in the race, but it's race one of the day. It's early in the day, so not climbing fences, etc. to get on, Jules. Just, would want $4, but would get me at that.
Not an exciting race to kick off the bumper program, but he was, as Riley did touch on, it was not the win itself, but it was just the manner of the win. And from memory too, he came in for a lot of support. He
did, and he would have had to have been 16, 17 lengths off them at one stage in running with the way that field broke up. They weren't actually going along at all that strong a gallop, but it just looked that way because the field was so broken up, and he was back there 15 lengths off the speed and was able to pick them up pretty easily over the concluding stages.
Now, I think it's fair to say it's the horse from the race you'd want to take home, but that doesn't mean a thing once the gates open. There's a few gnarly old stayers here that can all run a race at their best, and a couple that are promising to pick one up this preparation.
And a bit of kudos where kudos is due. Mickey McGuan's first tip of the night goes bang for the punters and gets the job done in race number 1 there at Ballarat, with a couple of races to play still to come. Before we move on to race number 2 on the program, a couple of quick acknowledgements here that we should get to. The Dubster, Dwayne Duppy Dubster, is 2-0. Bradley, he's dispatched of the Dutchman in pretty convincing fashion, might I say, last weekend. He's now 2 weeks on the bounce, on the straight-up tip-off, and he only needs to get home one more weekend this Saturday, 12-race program, to earn himself a $100 Tab Touch betting voucher. And his challenger, I can announce, got in nice and early this afternoon with his full set. Luke from Capel is going to be going head-to-head with the Dubster there this weekend. So best of luck to Luke. Let's see if he can usurp Duppy, who's in some form, can be said. He's in some form. 2 very convincing victories there over the past fortnight.
Very kind of Jules to offer to cover that $100 for the voucher too. Thank you.
Oh, beautifully done. Race number 2 on the program is the Schweppes Handicap over the 1,200 metres, and a very short price favourite here, Jules. And fair to say, the last start win of the horse was very impressive as well.
Good way to start its debut under Grant and Alana Williams, and you can only think he will improve too. But Famous Journey, $18 out to 21. Jelly Can Run, 12s into 10. Top of the Pops, $23, and Steady hit the jackpot, opened at $4.50, now out to $6.50. Divine Indiana, 16s out to 21. We touched on the favourite here for Grant and Alana Williams. Eccentric Nature opened at $3.40, now it's tightened into $2.70. So Lucky's also tightened from $5 into $4.20. Split Jet at $21 out to 31. He's a Seb, 101 into 71. Eurasia, $51 out to 61, and Zoo Bolts for Neville Parnham, $4.20 is now out to $4.80.
A little bit of Eastern States Pro money. The ESP there, Rolls.
Stop it.
Jelly Can Run at the $14. Local Sharpie Keen Divine Indiana, the place there, 400 place at $3.80. Another Eastern States Pro Keen at So Lucky, 500 at the $4.80. Eccentric Nature, right, this is where we get the drum roll happening. We've, what do we got there, 800 at the $3.40, 500 at the $3.40, 500 at the $3.10, another 400 there at the $3.10. So they are queuing up Eccentric Nature.
No surprise for me. Bradley. Couldn't have been a lot more impressive on WA debut. Let rip with a pretty powerful turn of foot to score from well back, and thought it was a soft win on the line as well. He looks every bit a Saturday horse in waiting, and the form in behind him through that race has held up since as well. But I guess what you flirt with taking the shorts about a horse from barrier 11 that does have a negative racing pattern at Ascot is that you're taking short odds about a horse drawn widest, 11 horse field likely to settle last and have to circle them. But while I think he's good enough to do so, there's always a little bit of risk involved there, isn't there, gentlemen?
Absolutely. But we'll go back. But as I said, I think horses under Grand Alliance will only improve. And the trial 2 earlier on was pretty impressive. So I think all points to Eccentric Nature, this son of Saberville, being a pretty nice horse for the team. What about Zubolt's 2 for Neville Parnham?
That form line's held up.
It has.
Very strongly.
It has. Good run last start. He's just been a horse that's been very hard to catch over the course of the journey, hasn't he, Brad?
Indeed.
You wouldn't put him in that category, the non-wire category yet.
Okay, we'll go with consistent for the moment.
Yes,
and maybe if there's five more minor placings, we'll go to non-wire.
It's a good, it's a good alternative.
What price did you? So you're happy with the 270 Eccentric Nature rolls?
No, I think he's more than likely the winner of the race, but I'd be wanting something 330 mid threes to be getting involved here in the second event on the program, Brad. But I do think he's the best horse in the race.
100%. Well, this is where you set your price, and what Ross is talking about is, and I'll speak about one of these dangers in a sec, Jules. You've got a horse that's going to be last. It's going to be pretty early in the day still. Normally that's pretty on pace early in the day. And the other thing we've got is it's not a small field, and we've got a few horses that, the old, for lack of a better word, the bumper cars.
The old roadblocks.
Yeah. Yeah, we've got a couple that are probably looking for events further down the line and possibly also on a different surface.
Correct.
That may or may not have hurdles involved. So I'd rather have a bet on a horse that, whilst it might be a sitting shot at the 100-metre marker, hit the jackpot, $8 around the traps, looks your leader rolls.
Yes, absolutely.
Looks to get it comfortably enough for mine. In front, opinions may vary there. But like how it's going, like how it's progressing, loved its last start win.
Was a nice win. Don't often see them win up against the inside fence down the straight at Pinjarra, do you?
No, and it was a Class 3, but don't mind a few of the horses in that race, and it won by a margin. So happy to take the $8 around the traps and watch it corner in front, give a good kick, and hope it holds on.
And he's in red hot form at the moment too.
There you go. A couple off the Retrovision text line here. Good day all. I can't read the rest of this. Racky from Queriting has weighed in about he's coined it the iceberg saga. In light on the recent iceberg saga.
I thought that was resolved, Riley.
Do we think Brad's Nurries will ever be returned to him?
Oh, I think I got a bit salty after a few frothies on Saturday, and telling everyone on course that I actually got the price right, going up 20-1, because if they ran it 19 more times, Stormageddon would have won all 19 of them. So,
had its chance.
Yeah. Well done on your win, Rolls.
Just wasn't good enough. Thank you. Yes, no, thank you. And let's just say, for those that may have missed it, I had enjoyed myself out at the races last weekend with yourself as well, Bradley, and had a bit of fun with some disgruntled Stormageddon punters on the socials on last Saturday night.
And congratulations to Mitch Pateman on setting another track record in finding me as quickly as possible.
Gee, Toby Dunn wasn't far behind him.
No.
He was not far behind him, I can guarantee you that. You are listening to Straight Up on this Thursday afternoon. We will keep pushing on as race 4 at Pakenham, 11.5 minutes away. And one off the text line from the great Greg L. He says it's a blessing in disguise Marty's not here for a 12-race program, because Straight Up would finish about 8 p.m. tonight, which is a very good call from Greg. Race number 3 is where we're up to on the program.
We can say whatever we want because Mark's not listening.
That's
exactly. Right. We can get stuck right in.
We can
send through the text about Mark. We'll read them all out.
Everything.
And within reason.
Race number three.
Everything.
Race number 3 is the Morley Growers Market Handicap. A Class 3, one of these transferred races once again. Has changed complexion a little bit since Wednesday, though. It's fair to say over the 1,000 metres, if we could take a look at this market. Thanks, Jules.
2 Pacific Boxer. It's a good betting race. This 2 Pacific Boxer, 12 out to 14. Salt Lake Shake, 310 out to 360. See you at the session. 420, 440 into 380. Simply Rosso, $26 into $20. This will show you for Mitchell Pateman, 320, 310. Shooting Kentucky, 21s, a little bit easy out to 23. Star Powers, 750 and steady. Fans, 13, out of point to 14. And Angels, My Name, opened at $21 and currently $31 on Tab Touch.
Eastern States Pro Money, see you at the Szechuan, 650 at the 420. And Jules, how's your Twitter account going?
Yeah, not too bad. I think I know what you're going to refer to, but keep going.
Oh, well, just there's no other bets really to report, so I might as well fill in a bit of time with with just an update with probably one of the most followed Twitter pages in WA.
Okay, you think so?
Very popular.
Well, we just heard from one of the doyens of WA racing wishing Wesley John a very happy birthday. A couple of other birthdays of listeners of the show that we should acknowledge as well, gentlemen. One, Damien Lane, a very happy birthday to Frosty. I know he tunes in each and every Thursday afternoon, so good to have you with us, Damien, and hope you're enjoying a very happy birthday. And
well, Riley, if he's not listening, then Mickey Lane is.
Yes, exactly right. So
Also
the message
doubtful.
will be passed on. And one of our very own, Rawa's very own, Ryan Fraser, they're calling him the Executioner at the moment. Very happy birthday to Rhino. He's handing out jockey suspensions left, right and centre, and no one can escape him at the moment. So happy birthday to Rhino.
And would Ryan be 21 today?
Yes.
Is he writing his own bio phrase? That's his own work, that.
Best dressed steward in WA.
Yes, well, the kit he wore to Bunbury last Sunday, a few questions were asked of his collar from his colleagues. Let's just leave it at that.
Yeah,
So
it could be 44 degrees, but Ryan will be in a suit and tie, looking very resplendent.
happy birthday. Resplendent. You blokes love using that word, don't
You
you?
like yourself in those checkered jackets rolls, those Peter Jackson numbers.
Yes. All
Outstanding.
right.
Those are cost tops, don't go too, Brad.
Let's realign here, gentlemen. Race number 3 on the program. Not a race that overly interests me from a betting perspective. Salt Lake Shake, I think, would have preferred they'd raced on Wednesday, Brad. It does look a tricky scenario for that horse now. This will show you who enters the race has drawn underneath it, and the breeze is the most likely scenario, I thought. This will show you, as mentioned, they reopened the noms, is on the backup from last Saturday, was a super tough customary effort in defeat over the 1,100 metres, drops back to the 1,000, back to a Class 3 and maps to kick through and lead here. You know what you're going to get from her. She tries her heart out each and every time she goes to the races, but the one that has been the target of some support, I think, can be a big improver is See You at the Session, who, on the other hand, is much happier with this setup than if they had raced Wednesday with a gate and Chris Parnham jumping on board for availability reasons as well. Just got left a little bit flat-footed in that small field first up over the 1,000 in West Speed company. I loved his trial leading into that first up performance. He gets Chris Parnham on, maps to stalk the leading pair or the speed horses in running. I'm not going to put him in the book per se, but I am going to have a bit of an eye on him and what the market does with him. See You at the Session.
Yeah, not a great deal to add here. Market's pretty steady rolls, and as you said, just the few on paces there, and this will show you. So Lake Shake should, settle. I'm thinking maybe lead and breeze, and both get their chance. And See You at the Szechuan should be. It was a really nice return by it. Should be right thereabouts. They'll have a few to respect, like Star Power and your fans is going really well. So could give it a sneaky each way chance. Jules?
Yeah, fans are going really, really well. I can agree with all your sentiments that you've touched on. This will show you, though, she's She does try very, very hard. She's no world beater, but she does try very, very hard, and she's been knocking on the door at her last two appearances. So, not a race that I'm really interested in from a betting perspective, but Fans has improved, and this will show he tries very, very hard.
Yeah, Fans is the sneaky one. His last two efforts have been super behind Eccentric Nature, who could make that form look very good in race number 2, and also Magnus Sonic, who goes to a stronger race later on the program as well. So just wanted to watch out wide Fans if they really do clap the speed on here in race number 3 on the program. Race number 4 is for the juveniles. Very important race as we lead into the Magic Millions, boys. This is the PKF Perth Plate over the 1,000 metres, Jules, and a pretty warm favourite here on debut for Mitchell Pateman.
Yeah, Storm away at 2:30. Open at 2:30. It is a little easy out to 2:45. One Just Walter John, $5.50 into $4.80. Who's talking? $7. $7.50 and steady on cue. 16s out to 20s. Reconnaissance $5 out to $8. Storm away we've touched on. Messina 13s into 11. Why she left $51, $41 currently. Daisies for the ladies 13 out to 18. Monto Tremezzo $12 has tightened into $9, and Yes No Maybe 26. No love there out to 41.
I've just lost my internet, so we're running blind here, but there was local pro money. Just Walter John up the top there early. I think around that 500 at the 550 early. And to be respected, Monty Tremezzo, the ESPs, rolls.
Those
Eastern States Pros each way. Yeah, they were on it at the $12, leading to a little trim up there as well. Storm away easy at this stage, so Mitchie must still be lining up at the bank to withdraw his life savings to have it on this horse, because I'm pretty sure they...
It's exactly what Mitchie can do, can't he?
At the 2:45.
Exactly right, and I'm sure he will. I know there's a big opinion of Storm away. It's a tricky little race, Brad, and one off the text line from Zach. He says, afternoon, gents. Firstly, a very happy birthday to Wesley John. A great addition to my own Twitter feed, and I'm sure that Julio can agree with me on that one as well. He's wondering if the time Storm away rounding that Pinjarra trial was as impressive as it looked to the eye. And that's a pretty tricky one, Brad, because I don't think we've ever seen trials run over the 600 metres down the straight there at Pinjarra previously.
You always got to take both into account, don't you, Rolls? The eye and the clock, but not sure the horse could have done any more. For mine, Jules, your thoughts?
No, exactly. It was pretty impressive, and just the one appearance we've seen, public appearance we've seen from Storm away. So, and it was very, very impressive to the eye, and did exactly what Mitchell would have been hoping, and he'll certainly have supporters on Saturday.
Certainly will. It just looks well enough found for the market for mine, given how respecting I am of a couple of these and how they have gone with that race experience under their belt as well, Brad. I'm talking particularly about the Harrison train pair here. Just Walter John was a huge run in defeat on debut, was 3 wide the trip and just kept surging at them despite the torrid run, beaten just over half a length at the finish by the stablemate, the General's Son, on that occasion as well. It was a super debut. Has another little tricky barrier for Sean McGrady to navigate here, but if he was to get over and into a more prominent spot, I can make a very strong case for Just Walter John, touching her at that $5 quote at the moment, and also the stablemate who interests me and Who's Talking, who bungled the start on debut, got home really well from last. Love the jockey change with Sean O'Donnell jumping on, and actually went forward in his trial prior to that debut performance. So he is one that has the potential to sit a lot handier if he can just get out of the barriers a bit cleaner this time around. So I know there's some pretty big raps on Storm away, but I have liked what I've seen from the Harrison train pair in Just Walter John and Who's Talking, and could potentially even entertain a small Dutch bet, pending what the market does with that pair late.
Yeah, it does look a bit of a messy setup in regards to speed, doesn't it, Rolls? So if Who's Talking can get a spot close, it would be very advantageous for it. Reconnaissance maybe looks your leader, or otherwise not. I couldn't see a heap of tempo in the race. Plenty of very nice triallers heading to the races, but not a lot of early speed for most of them.
We've only seen that one trial from Monte Tremezzo. Where's the money coming from? What's the reason for the money with Monte Tremezzo?
Trial was good. It was a typically quiet Dan Morton trial.
Yep.
You don't often see them extended, Jules, do you?
No.
In their initial stages of their career before they get to the races. But, I just thought looked like a horse who might find the 1,000 a little bit slick, maybe, and might do her best work over a little bit further.
Yeah.
Did have a heavyweight hoop in the saddle on that occasion as well in Jared Noski. So there's certainly a bit of merit to the trial performance, and you have to respect that money as well.
I think you make a good point too about race experience. We're taking on a horse that just had one trial, 600-metre trial, and it's short, 2:45 in the market. We've had a horse, just Walter John, ran a terrific race first up, and it's been solid support there, $5.15 to $4.80. And so Harrow at this time of the year, with we're coming around Magic Millions time, certainly can find one or two. Yeah,
well, I'm certainly I'm pretty harsh on those one trialers where it's 400 or 600, etc., and they're on speed horses. But when they do what Storm weighted and they sort of have a turn of foot, they sort of don't have that much early speed. I'm certainly promoting them a lot more in the market, and always probably tack on a fair bit for a 2-year-old that shows the ability to run on or have a turn of foot, because normally they're sort of running on fear a little bit.
Benny from Wattle Grove, he's demanding that we get the Mauler and his tips back on the airwaves. So, and usually our avenue for the Mauler is Mart. I don't have the Mauler's number, so if the Mauler can somehow find my number and get those tips to me, we might give him another chance, maybe.
Or if he's listening,
or if he's
listening. Text line.
On the Retrovision text line, actually. And he hasn't texted in yet, the Mauler, so he might still be ghosting us. And
Come on, Shorty.
The Dutchman's let us know as well that he's not happy with our ghosting of him, and he's going to start scrolling Julio's mentions on Twitter to cheer himself up. And he hopes that I can take a bit of time out of my busy schedule bullying people on Twitter to read out his future texts from a disgruntled Netherlands resident. So I apologise to Dutchie. We'll endeavour to get to as many of these texts as we can. I'm covering a lot of ground at the moment in the host chair. It just makes me appreciate what Mart has to deal with each and every week a little bit more. And we're up to race number 5 on the program, a small field over the 1,400 metres, a reliable asset maintenance handicap, and quite a compact little betting market here, Jules.
Yeah, it is too, Riley. Fleur Nero, $8 out to $9. Sold an L for 7. Valhalla, $6.50 and a point to $6. Al Malachi's racing good form for Still Casey. Opened at $6, now into $4.60. Cable Boy, $16. No Love there out to $21. Memory Parade, really strong win last start. $3.70 into $3.50. Canny Rock into $5.50 after opening at $5, out to $5.50 after opening at $5. And Brazen Bid for S.J. Miller, $3.60 out to $4.
Good little spread of money here, gentlemen. Great spread, really. We've got a local Sharpie early, pretty keen. Memory Parade at the $3.80. Also, Eastern States Pro Money, $900 at the $3.50, Ross. It's also back to our mate Archie at the $4.40, but earlier some of the local pros got involved at the $6 with bets of $400 and $300 there. Canny Rock local pro money at the $6.50. Sold Nell local Sharpie keen there at the $8 too. So really good spread of money, guys.
A little bit Lionel this one, Brad.
Yeah.
I thought this was very Lionel.
Wouldn't be surprised if any of them won this.
No, very tricky little race. This one, the great Greg L is loading up here. He's very keen. He says it's the week for Soldenell. Good barrier, small field, pet distance. There's one at the track. They're all ticks for me. I'm loading up so I can give it all back a little bit later on. 12 races is a very long day.
Well, she's going very well. She's racing terrifically well, isn't she? For 7
She is, absolutely. And the small field is absolutely going to suit her with the turn of foot that we know she's got. I've struggled to get her.
Memory Parade was good last time out. Strong.
Really good win. Would have been something beaten, Jules, if she hadn't found that gap.
Absolutely. Great ride there from Chris Parham. I think was looking for the 1,400 too.
Yep.
Yeah, I think
absolutely.
I think Memory Parade deserves deserves favouritism?
I just think drawn the inside for her in this small field that could turn into a really tactical little affair. That could prove interesting viewing in terms of what sort of run she gets into the race when she needs to get into her work, Brad. Is that sort of what you were thinking as well?
Yeah, I concur with you 100% there. She does find little ways to get herself into trouble, doesn't she, when it's time to show that turn of foot. Sometimes she just takes a little bit longer to wind into her gears.
The most interesting runner in this race for me, and you could go through every runner in this field, to be brutally honest. Our mate Archie, he's going to settle in the first 2 or 3 in the small field. He gets 1.5 kilos on Memory Parade for being beaten under half a length first time into Saturday company. So there are going to be some in our mate Archie's corner, Jules, as a result of that weight swing that he gets, and from a Matt perspective as well, in that he stays out of trouble. But most interesting runner in this race for me is clearly Brazen Beard. Yep. I made Brazen Beard a horse to follow off the back of his last start performance behind London's Image, the way he got to the line.
Yep.
Second up, he's the 3-year-old up against the older horses, and you look at that form now around London's Image. Subsequently, the Breeders' Classic winner at Bunbury on Sunday. We've seen the second horse, Golden Vale, win really strongly to take out that final race on the program last weekend as well. So the form is well and truly held up. He drops 3 kilos off his back, should be afforded the opportunity to slide forward and settle in the first 2 or 3 with the lack of speed in this race. Brad, I think he's incredibly well placed. Perhaps the only ever so slight query for me is the 11 straight up to the 14, but I do think the way he got to the line late last start, perhaps that's exactly what he's looking for.
Yep. And look, his first up run too was terrific too, behind a good horse in form in Hostile Talk.
Absolutely.
So his returns to races in good form, and as you said, the form lines behind London's Image is hard to ignore. I think they've worked out now how to race Soldanel.
Yes, absolutely. They've worked her out, and we're going to catch up with Steph Verhala following our preview as well. He's joining us for a quick chat on Straight Up this afternoon as well. But the ever so slight niggle with this race, Brad, is I think a couple of these are really nice horses, and I think the setup looks terrific for Brazen Beard, but gee, Memory Parade won like a horse who could really string a few together last start. Even our mate Archie with that weight swing stays out of trouble, derives great benefit for having his first crack at Saturday company as well. Very progressive runner on the rise, and we haven't even spoken about Canny Rock, who's likely to get things very cheaply in front in a race where there's really no other speed.
And they came for Canny Rock last week. Actually, there were 2 runners they came last week for, 2 Bruce K runners, and one of those was Canny Rock.
And they've all gone very well. His stable's flying at the moment. And we haven't mentioned up the top Fluoro Neuro, one that I'm keen to have a sneaky play on because I think the horse is actually flying. Had 2 very forgivable runs so far this preparation. CJP on board. And is absolutely ready to show something. And this is going to be a very tactical race. So it's one I could entertain getting that right.
It'd make
suck, ping type of run there, Ross.
It'd make things interesting, wouldn't it, Brad? I think we could see a scenario where Fluoro Neuro's following a horse like a Brazen Bid or an Our Mate Archie into the straight, and that would make things would make for a fascinating watch over that final 200 metres. Given we know how, I think the right word is enigmatic, Fluoro Neuro can be when the best version of him turns up. But a very open race and intriguing race number 5 on the program. Very open, multiple winning chances. We'll move on to race number 6, which is the West Speed Platinum over the 1,400 metres. I'll just have a look. 4 minutes. We'll get through this one before we get to Geraldton for race number 6, which is 4 minutes off start time. Jules will go through this market.
Yeah, One Stylish Lord Riley, 650 into 390. Good support. Sessions peak 25 out to $34. Cruise to Victory, 650 out to $8. Success Play, No Love, 5 out to $9.50. Our Rocky Bay, 650, $7. Mybe Lad, opened at 16 to now 31. Red Tory, 320, 310. And the current favourite, Swim Through, 21s. And Steady, 21 into $11 for Bird on a Wire. And Blazing Emerald, 9 out to $11.
$650 to $390.
Thanks for that little jab there, Ross. Including 500 each way early at the $6, 400 at the $6.50, 300 at the $6, a couple hundred at the $5.50. Oh, someone's had Eastern States Pros had 700 at the $4. Eastern States Pro Money Bird on a wire each way. Interesting. And we've also got a local Pro Keen Red Tory 900 at the $3.20. So Stylish Lord seems the one that they're keen on, Jules.
They are, Ben. Good support for Stylish Lord. And out of the Memory Parade sort of form lines as well.
Does look a terrific setup for him on paper.
Should land first two and running.
You'd think at least the first four. I think you can try and get Red Tory beat near $3 as favourite from another potentially tricky draw, Brad. I thought she was only fair last start, and she's likely to get back into a tricky spot again. Does look a great setup for Stylish Lord on paper. Back in grade from that race behind our mate Archie, Memory Parade, only beaten a length. That form should hold up in a field of this depth. Drops a kilo off his back into a weaker field than last start and should lob in a lovely position in running. But going to make a case for one at each way odds here, boys, for Grant Alana and Cruise to Victory, who I'm going to be very forgiving of that first up performance. I thought this horse trialled super leading into that run on resumption. 1,400 metres for mine suits a lot better than the 12 last start. Maybe just needed that run. He's got a lovely barrier to work with this time around, was a dominant winner. It says on the form guide that he hasn't run a placing in his career to date in 4 second-up runs, but he was back off a 7-week break when he joined the Williams team last preparation, and his second run for them off that 7-week break, which I think you could basically say he was second up. He was a dominant winner in a Class 5 over the 1,400 metres on that occasion. I love the fact that Clint Johnston-Porter sticks with him. Great barrier to work with. At the each-way odds available, happy to make Cruise to Victory an each-way play in race number 6.
I think you just have to forgive last start. Had excuses, held up, so there were genuine reasons.
Yep, Red Tory at the 310, like very good last start, going well. But as you said, Rolls, you can sort of, you like to look around a horse like Red Tory that seems to get back and also find trouble and find ways to get beaten at the 310. So, and I can also say the same for sort of Stylish Lord at the 390 and around that mark with Apprentice on and a horse that seems to mix its form a little bit. I want to mention 3, as you said, Cruise to Victory could certainly entertain. How is success play? I think it's $12 around the traps Rolls for a horse that beat Red Tory last start by a length and looks to get another similarly soft on-pace run.
Absolutely.
So it's sort of hard to align those prices being where they are. And Our Rocky Bay, who could be a massive improver on the bounce up to 1,400, you can see a world where this horse gets straight to the front and will be very hard to beat if it gets to the front and gets its own way.
Duppy's 2 from 2, Bradley, and he's absolutely airborne at the moment. And he says,
some would say he's dupping about. I'll see myself out, gents. It's been a pleasure.
I'm accepting that. That's terrific gear. I all feel for the subscribers last week due to the incompetence of the staff. I spoke to the package privately and he apologised to me and he's benched Mart as a result. Why is the mauler still being mentioned? I poured him a glass of bathwater. He can sip on that. Another win for the Dup. Keep bringing them and I'll keep blowing out the candles. Oh, we love you, Duff. And to his credit, he's tipping up a storm at the moment, the Dupster, so he's only got one more to get. And one more, and he's got a $100 Tab Touch voucher, courtesy of Jules, who's going to sort that out for him, and also a box of Swan Draft from the mauler for the week 1 demolition job. So, well done, Duppy.
I think there's a few other things that we have in the Tab Touch closet that we can unveil for the Dupster and just add in. We could just make a little prize pack.
It won't be an expensive one, but it'll be a few in there.
It'll be full of love.
Full of love. And one off our text line here, Petter from Morley.
Oh, Petter.
He says, hi, listeners. If you're not backing Starring Night, race 7 at Geraldton, you're not taking your punting seriously. # gamble responsibly. Strong push there from Petter from Morley, who backed a couple of winners yesterday as well.
Okay, Petter. Yeah, he goes okay.
Some good form. He's very quick to let us know here on the text line as well.
I think he goes under a couple of different pseudonyms, Petter.
A couple is certainly an unders bet there. That is for sure and certain. But race number 7 on the program. We're past the halfway point on this monster 12-race card as he misses max handicap over the 1,200 metres. A small field, Jules, but, gee, there's been some activity in this one from a betting perspective early.
Absolutely. Ice Pick Nick, one of those, 310 into 280 and favourite. Terrific first up for Stefan Valhalla. Desiné, 13's out to $18. Son of the Boss in a point, 7 to 6. Lonza Light, 420, 480. Planet Cash, $9 and has eased out to $17. Miss Flirtatious, $3, is now $3.20. And Catch the Red Eye, $31 into 23.
Ooh, local Sharpie Keen, Miss Flirtatious, 1,000 at the 310. Ice Pick Nick, local Sharpie Keen, 1,000 at the 310 and another 1,000 at the 310. Ice Pick Nick, 500 at the 290, 500 at the 290, 500 at the 290. Ice Pick Nick, 1,000 at the 270, and 500. 500 at the 280, another 500 at the 280. They're queuing up for Ice Pick Nick. This is one of our stands of the day, gentlemen.
Well, it's nice that you've accepted Petter's bets, though, because he's weighed in again and he says race 7, Ice Pick Nick will not be losing. So
it was just a run to follow, wasn't he? First up.
Oh, absolutely.
It was enormous.
Super performance.
I thought you continued.
No, I was just going to say, I know Dan, when Dan Morton had him previously, Dan from, and Dan had a big opinion of the horse and was looking at some of the bigger feature races with Ice Pick Nick. So he had a huge opinion of Ice Pick Nick, but Stefan, he's just turned a corner with Stefan, whether he's injury-free or just enjoying a change of environment. But and he decided not to go to the Cyril Flower and decided to go this way. He's carrying weight, but did carry weight previously as well. I think he's just got the horse in red-hot form at the moment, Stefan.
He certainly does. There's perhaps a bit of variability into how a few might have this race mapped out, given the run of Ice Pick Nick last start. It was a huge effort, as we know. He was a massive drifter in betting, and I think that was likely as a result of the market knowing the instruction from that wide draw was to ride him cold on that occasion, Jules, given we know he's a horse that has more than apt tactical speed in his racing career. He savaged the line. I think something important to note is that his best runs by panels since he's been here in WA have been when he's been on the fresher side.
Yep.
When he's had a good spacing between his runs. So just perhaps something to consider heading into the weekend with the price you're willing to take about him, but up to 1,200 off that performance. Options from the gap barrier to push forward or look for a back to follow into the race. He's very well placed and he's hard to knock, but he does have to give 5.5 kilos to a really nice progressive horse for Luke Fernie in Miss Flirtatious, who I thought was an outstanding win off a fresh and last start, dropping back to the 1,000 metres. There was a fair old bumping duel going on in the straight in that one, but she just lifted herself off the canvas late to get up. She gets that weight relief down to the 54.5 kilos. She won't have any issues stepping up to the 1,200 metres. And she's another horse, much like Ice Pick Nick, who has that versatility as well, which makes this a really fascinating contest.
Great race. I was hoping to see $4 Ice Pick Nick, but I'm going to get nowhere near that by the look of things.
That's ambitious.
So I'm probably going to switch up and hope to see $5.50, $6 Lons Elite.
Barrier 1.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I mean, I think the horse needs to be out wide to unleash its run. I think it can travel in a pack okay. You've got to get out at the right time and get around. And I do think at stages of this race there's a big chance the field could fan a little bit with a few of these horses possibly showing a bit of early speed, etc. So I do think the opportunity will come. And what a run it was last week. It was quite incredible, actually, Lons Elite. So
it was a good run.
It's and it's got 5 kilos of Ice Pick Nick. So he's a horse that can definitely play a part, I think.
Yeah, absolutely. Ice Pick Nick, as you said, touched on Riley, fresh, racing terrifically well, career best under Stefan, carrying the weights, obviously a caveat. Miss Flirtatious probably, I mean, she's got a great strike rate, but probably her best run or her best win last start. She was just absolutely super.
I think so.
And it's been good support. now into, as we touched on, $3 into $3, or a little bit easy, 3 out to 320. But yeah, I thought she was terrific. Probably career best. Ice Picnic and Lonzelot, I think they're the 3 out of the race.
And I agree with you, Jules. I just don't love barrier 1 for Lon's Delight, in contrast to Bradley.
As good as Miss Flirtatious was last start, settling midfield due to the hectic tempo in the race, you'd go forward here, do you think, Rolls? You'd probably try and take control of proceedings?
Absolutely, I would.
Yeah.
Absolutely, I would. That's what I thought they'd do. And yeah, the map's interesting because Catch the Red Eye's got some speed. Miss Flirtatious, I thought, would press forward. Ice Pick Nick has that versatility as well. Son of the Boss is racing better. We're ridden with some cover, so they're not as aggressive with him anymore. It's going to be a fascinating watch to see where the top 2 in the market settle down in the first 200 metres. Just one to watch, Maddie Dessinée goes super fresh and looked in really nice order in a 1,000-metre gallop at Pinjarra last week. I think this horse, he might find the 1,200 a touch on the short side, but he gets a soft run and can really sprint well fresh, as he's proven many occasions through his career, Dessinée, and they tinker with a bit of gear with him as well. I thought he looked in terrific order there on the 28th of January. In that recent trial hit out. We're 3.5 off a start at Pakenham for race number 5 on the program, and we have those dividends. Race 6 Geraldton 9-2 10-1, 9 Queen Tiffany for Kesh Duran 360-160, beat 2 Sorvgard 230, third was 10 Stevie's May 170, Quinella 1080, Exacta 1860, Trifecta 69.20, the first 4 9-2 10-1, 124.80, the double on 1 and 9 $7, 4 12 13 and 14 out. Race number 6 from Geraldton, and we'll press on and take a look at the market and see how much we can get in for this feature race out there at Ascot on Saturday. The Bisley Workwear Cyril Flower Stakes at listed level over the 1,200 metres, and a couple of runners head the market, really dominate the betting, Jules.
Yeah, Man Crush, 270, 310 into 275. Snow Dome, 13 into $11. Twain's Angel open, she opened short, $1.90 out to 230, and now trimmed in another.
It's not a reverse meerkat.
220. Now into 220. Vast Art, $11.
2 from short.
The mythical reverse meerkat.
You're welcome back any week you like, champion.
Norwich, 8 into $7. Ollie's Choice for Dan and Ben Pearce is opened at $13 and is trimmed into $12. First up for Dan and Ben Pearce.
Man Crush. Unfortunately, mine isn't here this week. 1,000 at the $3, 1,000 at the $2.90, 500 at the $2.90, another 2 500s at the $2.90, 500 at the $2.75. Snowdome, Eastern States Pro Money at the place at the $3.40. Plenty of 200 and 250 bets on Man Crush. It's pretty decent go-y, gents.
Yeah, if Man Crush swap barriers in the Scenic Blast, do we get a different result?
I just think if he steps cleaner, you potentially get a different result. Uncharacteristically slow away, and as a result of that barrier he drew in that Scenic Blast, Jules, he was dictated to in terms of having to go back on that occasion. I do think, just watching a couple of his replays, he just seems to jump a lot better when he's closer to the fence and he's drawn those inside gates. So I'm thinking he can sit a lot more prominently here from the barrier with that 2 kilo swing that he gets on Twain's Angel, our current favourite here. He was taking some good ground late off her last start, Brad, and it was a huge run in defeat from Man Crush, wasn't it?
I concur.
Yeah, absolutely huge run in defeat. But no knock on Twain's Angel, the win too, and no knock too on Matty Derrick, the Rye, because Rye actually wins the race.
It was a 12 out of 10. It was a career best. She chose a good time to give a career best riding performance. Matty Derrick, that was a hats off.
I think the thing is, Twain's Angel did have to chase to me it seemed a reasonably hot tempo, and had to do the work when that tempo went on and really did put the field to bed and was going away from him. So what happened late is, you can make that case that Man Crush was equally as good a run, but Twain's Angel did the job and did it well.
Did put the field to bed, but in that same vein, I don't think Man Crush had the opportunity to, with what transpired for him, to put himself into the race whatsoever. With the run he had, no knock again on Twain's Angel for me, Jules, other than the negative weight swing and the inside barrier if she was to end up through the fence in running, needing another peach or a bit of luck as well.
And these small fields too sometimes can be very tricky affairs, can't they?
They can. And I'm in the corner of Man Crush with the weight swing and a better getaway to turn the tables on Twain's Angel, but no interest for me at both of their current quotes and how the market is situated at the moment, Bradley.
What did you make of the run of first up run of Snowdome? Because there was good support for Snowdome first up, off no trial.
Much better.
It seems to be a horse that gets its share of pro support, so must have some pretty hot data or algorithm figures there, Snowdome. So
you're listening to the Perth Racing Preview here on Straight Up with Julio Santorelli, our special guest this afternoon, and Bradley McManus, and we're about to get stuck into the quaddie legs with race number 9, my favourite race of the day. Brad, you know why that is? Because it is the Swan Dwarfed handicap over the 1,200 metres, and another pretty open betting race, Jules, according to the market.
Magnic Sonic, 14, out to 15, Roaming Danger, 7s to 12, Sunlit Fresco, 350, 440, Comic Hero, our favourite, 320 and steady. Playing games, 6 into 420. Cross statement, $18 at open, $16 currently. Goldmaker, $12 into 11. Rapid Rock, 750 and steady. And Border Control, 31 out of 41.
we'll start with playing games. It's been a local pro 400 at the $6 there early, 300 at the $5.50. 900 places at the $1.95. Cross statement 600 places at the $4.25. Comic Hero 800 wins at the $3.60. That is Eastern States algorithm money. Rapid Rock 300 at the $7.50.
ESAs, that's new. The Eastern States algorithm money. Mart will be flat. He's missed out on that.
Yeah. I'm not sure he's missing us at all. I haven't got a text message or anything. No selfies, no text message, no.
He goes off the grid, Mart. Goes off into... You'd find him in some funny places when he goes on holiday, I reckon.
Just on holidays.
It's a good point you made, Jules.
Yeah.
So...
Playing games, Brad. Sorry, did you say there's Eastern States money?
Yeah, and local pros 6 into 420, Jules.
LPs as well.
She was terrific last start. She was trying to find a run from the back of trying to find a run in the home straight, but just like the way she finished off behind a pretty good horse in Just St. James and Cessation. I think it was an eye-catching run and a run to follow.
Yeah, it certainly was. I think, albeit maybe the overall class of that race wasn't as deep as what this one is, but Just St. James does look a very nice progressive horse for Rob Gilberti off the back of that win there last start. Yes, it was. I thought there were three key chances here, and it could come down to whichever gets the best ride or best run throughout in transit, Bradley. Sunlit Fresco, a horse that was able to lead and just hold on in Class 3 company as a short price favourite last time out, was a touch slow again, which is a bit of a concerning trend with her out of the barriers, but she was able to muster through to lead. It was a fighting win, given she looked gone with how she allowed the rest of her rivals, to keep her within striking distance, Jules, on straightening, and also raced a bit keen and a bit fierce on that occasion as well. I expect Brad Parnham will be happy to let her roll again, but she wouldn't want to be slow to step, as there is a bit of speed in this race that hasn't drawn too far away from her either. So you'd expect she leads, but you wouldn't want her to be too slow, like she has shown a tendency to be out of the gates at her past couple.
What do you make of Comic Hero?
I'm making a good case for him, Jules. I think this is a really good race for him. He got galloped on last weekend and wasn't his best devastating self, so I think you can put a line through that. Had the 60 kilos as well. He's back here off the 7 days, already proven in this company before, gets 1.5 kilos off his back, and this just looks a much more suitable race for him with the speed influences engaged. And I think if the best version of Comic Hero turned up, he'd be very hard to beat. Price-wise, not there for me at the moment.
Need a little bit more meat on the bone.
A little bit more meat on the bone.
I got galloped on the dance floor after the last when Big John was DJing. It does affect your performance. I can confirm.
If you got galloped on by Big John, you wouldn't have a leg left.
Not by the big fella, but by someone else on the dance floor.
And, what about Goldmaker for Donna Reed?
She's flying at the moment.
Donna Reed?
Yes.
Golden Kathleen's run first up too. Was it last week?
Yep.
Yeah, it was sensational.
In the Breeders' Classic.
Yeah.
It was a remarkably good performance, and
the Breeders' Classic known as the Mart.
Yes, is going to be a horse to follow for many people off that performance. She's got no peer, absolutely flying at the moment as well, Jules.
Yep.
The stable's humming. Interesting runner. Hasn't exactly set the world on fire at the 1,200 metres in his career to date, Goldmaker, and has been better over the sprint trip, over the 1,000. It's fair to say, but no surprise to see Donna Reardon make a few changes with him and work him out and see him win a few more races, because the ability's clearly there, Brad.
And just because Marty's away this week, Rapid Rock. How is yours, Rolls? Roaming Danger will get me each way at the $15 around the traps. That's horses got the writing on the wall. I think it's ready to put in a nice run. Decent enough setup for it here.
One of Mart's.
Indeed. So, and going through the form, but also the Salt and L form, Sunlit Fresco's right. Same race, and there's a bit there to make a case for Roaming Danger to run a great race at the each way price.
Just got a text message come through from the great man. He said, "Done my form, all capitals, not for the graphic, Roaming Danger." Thanks for weighing in, Mart, and hope you're enjoying some very well-earned time off throughout the course of this week. Race number 10 on the program will be our next. We'll take a look at here as runners make their way to the barriers at Geraldton. Only 5 minutes off a start, so we will fit this in. It's the penultimate at Geraldton. Starring Knight, your favourite at $2.30, which Petter from Morley says can't lose. From the two, defending at $2.70, and 3 Special Sort, the only other runner in single figures, at $6. Patchwork, the 6, is a $10 chance. It's the Glenroy Shuff handicap over the 1,400 metres for the 3-year-olds, Jules. And for me, this is one of the highlight races on the program.
1, Noah Quantilli, 18, 23 into 21, Timeless Gem, 9 into 7, All Grunt for Tiana Noski, 420 out of 480. What's the point? 16 into $14. Precious God for Paula Wag, 650 out to $10. Too Soon opened at 7.5 a point, 650. Later Alligator, 26 out to 31. Naughty Torty, 26, 34. Diamond Dancer, 14, 11. Shoot to Flame, $21, $26 the favourite. Deal Her In, $3.50, and Steady. Summer's Legacy, 26, 31 into 23, and Impressive Jewel, 71 out to 81.
Oh, this is a sexy race, Rolls. Dealer in early pro money, local pro. The LP's 800 at the 350, which you are entitled to have again. 500 at the 320, which you can have with a bit of interest. Another 500 at the 320. Ditto. But 300 at the 330 as well, Deal Her In. Timeless Gem, Eastern States Pros keen on this horse, including 400 at the 850, 300 at the 950. Noah Quintilli, 500 at the $23, if you don't mind. Precious God, 500 places at the 290, which you can queue up for again, sir. 450 wins Too Soon at the 650. All Grunt, Eastern States Pros, 500 at the 550. This is a wonderful betting race. There's even Eastern States Pro money for What's the Point at the bigger price there too.
Cracking race, couple of runners I'm going to touch on, but that certainly wouldn't do it justice. We are in the blocks 3 minutes out from a start at Geraldton. I really like Deal Her In as a horse. She couldn't have been a lot more impressive in victory at Pinjarra on debut than last start, as we know, was thrown straight into a Saturday 3-year-old place. Drew widest, got back to last in what was a muddlingly run race, and loved how she worked home back to the inside through a little bit of traffic late in the piece. She's drawn far better here to hopefully sit a couple of pairs closer in running and can make a big case for her with even luck. And I'm happy to side up with her, as I do think she's a really nice horse on the rise. But I am going to have a little saver, I'm hoping, on All Grunt, who... Very strong winner on resumption in what has proven a red-hot form reference race since, with 3 subsequent winners and a place getter as well. He is likely to have to settle near last in running here, but I do think, much like last start with that wide barrier that he drew, if he can find himself some 3-deep cover blending into the race on straightening, I think he's a massive player late and likely looking at chopping out on the race on All Grunt, who's got some real ability and undeniable upside to keep improving, being so lightly raced as well, boys.
I've had a little bit early on All Grunt. This is just such a good race. Just excited to watch and see how it unfolds. And we won't mention a lot of the horses in this race for time reasons, Rolls, but there are a lot of wins between these group of horses going forward.
Idillerin couldn't have been any more impressive on debut, and they didn't forget to come for it too. On debut, and
even last start they backed it 12 into 450 or something along those lines, so the money was there second up in stronger company too, so there's clearly a big opinion of Deal Her Angels.
Yeah, absolutely, and I think the horse that beat it second up goes okay too for Russell Stewart.
Yes.
Too Soon was a ultra impressive on debut for Grant and Alana Williams, and as we know, the horses, as we touched on previously, horses, they just thrive and they can improve lengths under Grant and Alana Williams when they transition to a new stable. So it couldn't have been any more impressive, this charge forward colt for Grant and Alana Williams winning on debut at Pinjarra. But Dillerin on the strength for that first up win. And I didn't think she lost any more as second up.
No, she certainly did not, and that's the way I'm going, Jules, as well. It's time. You're listening to the Perth Racing Preview. 2 races still to come on this bumper 12-race program here on Straight Up this afternoon. Race number 11. Stop it, Pete. The Bellis Racing Joiner Racing Syndicate Handicap over the 1,600 metres. And we see that horse you just mentioned not too long ago, Jules, Head the Market here, was a very impressive winner to break maiden status in a Saturday 3-year-old race, Rockin' the Jam.
Yeah, favourite, $2.90, opened at $2.90, now into $2.40, Riley. 1 El Patron, $3, now $3.80. Forever Dreaming, 11, out to 12. Savorsky, $41, now 51. Great Demon for S.J. Miller, $4.60, $4.80. Eyes Only for Him, 15s, now 19. Favourite, as we touched on, Rock and the Jam, $2.40, just a midi, 12 into 10. No Peel, 14 to 15. And JD, No Love, 26 out to 51.
Local pro money, Rock and the Jam, 1100 at the 290. You cannot have that again, sir. Another local pro, Keen, Rock and the Jam, 1200 at the 265, which you also cannot have again. Great Demon, 250 at the 460. That is pretty much it. Plenty of rank and file money for Rock and the Jam there, Jules.
Yeah, well, I mean, if you made a case for a dealer in the previous, you've got to make a case here and stick with Rock and the Jam. It couldn't have been any more impressive for Russell Stewart.
Oh, I think he looks the best bet on the program for me, gentlemen. We have to wait a little bit on what I thought was a bit of a tricky card for the number of races, but I think this is great placement with Rock and the Jam. He carries the same weight here as his soft win last start in 3-year-old company into a graduation 60+ against the older horses, which doesn't bat overly deep for mine. I think he's very progressive, and I think he'll eat up the 1,600 metres. No issue for me with the rising distance for him whatsoever, and think he looks very well placed. I'm happy to make him the best bet on the program, boys.
Yeah, well placed. Rock and the Jam for Russell Stewart, as you touched on. Riley, Great Demon on the back was a terrific run last week. On the back up, on the quick turnaround, and no peer, she's racing well, but I think all roads lead to Rock and the Jam. Absolutely.
Great Demon, Brad, is the danger for mine on the back up, as you mentioned there, Jules. Got back off the pace in a fast run 1,500 metres and sustained a long run to finish off hard into third, but was well beaten, albeit by Prince of Santos, who does look a pretty progressive type for Summer Dixon.
Yeah, it's a reasonably thin one metro win, isn't it? It's Not a huge amount of depth. Rocking the Jam, my concerns are, I mean, you should get the mile, but it's a mile first time, so it's just a minor query, and the setup's definitely a fair bit stickier than what it was last start, where it got the pie run behind the leader and got the perfect split in a race where I still do just want to work out how that form holds up, but it does look like it'll be reasonably solid. So, yeah, you set your price point, and plenty of punters keen around that 250 mark Rocking the Jam, but it won't get me at that mark. I wouldn't want to let...
What do you think is a fair price, Rocking the Jam?
Oh, I'd want... what price did I have? I think I wanted 350 to get involved.
The opening price, 290.
290, yep. So I will not be seeing the 350 I want. So actually I had it bigger than that. I had it 380.
I could see there being a bit of money for Great Demon. Probably the only runner in this field I could see there being money for. Maybe some sprinkling no peer with the form that she's in at the moment as well. Data did have El Patron very short. It's racing consistently, but tends to...
Can't win.
Yeah, except for that time it did 2 starts ago. Yeah.
Exactly right.
So it does look Rocking the Jam's race to lose, but it's just a bit of a sticky setup for mine. So I think I'll just sort of watch on, because it's hard to make a strong case for any other runner. He's got some tactical speed. I think Steve Parnham will be happy to roll forward and be positive with him out of the barriers to try and jam him in somewhere. Try and pop to the breeze, you reckon?
Potentially. Well, I don't even think the breeze. I think you roll forward. You've got El Patron, JD, horses that will roll forward out of there from their barriers. Just a midi drawn 3 will just be happy to hold a position. You'd think Great Demon doesn't have great gate speed, and I think that could open up the opportunity for Steve Parnham to just fall in behind the leading pair, one out, one back, and think if that is where he lands in running, he's going to be very hard to beat. That is the case in the penultimate event on the program on the weekend. But Rocking the Jam for me. Brad, did you have anything out wide you were interested in here, or happy to let this one through to the keeper for now?
No, nothing for me, mate.
We'll move on to the final race on this 12-race program. It's the Tab Touch Have You Got the Touch handicap. This one is over the mile, and a number of runners contesting this final race on the program who have been racing with some great consistency through their campaigns to date, Jules.
Bruce Almighty, 370. Ginger Green, 440, 480. Kisses from Kelly, $9, $11, $10. So War, 7. And Steady Satino, $5. As tightened to 370. Heskett, $11, and Steady Street Parade is a scratching. The Spruiker, 5, now 6.
This is a fantastic betting race, Jules. We've actually had sharp money for the majority of these runners. Bruce Almighty, sharp money. Satino, sharp money. The Spruiker, sharp money. Ginger Green, sharp money. So, bit to go on with. Pretty even race.
Yeah, it is. It is. I found this one of the trickier races on the program, to be honest with you. A number of these runners are just going so well, and not a lot would surprise. I like the fact that Satino's had that little break, the month between runs, and has been freshened up back in distance from the 18 to the 16 for a horse that I think has a bit more, perhaps, maybe upside's the wrong word, but I think maybe we haven't got to the bottom of Satino yet as a racehorse, Jules, if that makes sense. And Clint Johnson-Porter sticks with him. I think he gets to this race off that freshen up, which a number of these other runners haven't had the opportunity to have had through their taxing preparations really nicely. I love the versatility of Ginger Green and the form around him. He ran second last start, almost pinched it. It was just grabbed by Sensational on the line, and it took Bonjoy, took every inch of her power to defeat him on the back up last weekend. I know she got the job done quite convincingly late in the piece, but she did have to sort of get into her work to get past him. I thought he was a really good run in that sort of company on the back up. So if you take a line through that form, that looks to be nice enough form to be winning a race of this nature. And as we know, he's a horse that has tactical versatility. He can go forward. He can race just as well off the speed also. So Ginger Green has to be in very heavy considerations here as well. The Spruiker's going super. Still have my slight reservations that he's not as effective at the mile. I'm not going to go so far to say that he doesn't run a mile, but I do think he's more effective over 1,400 metres, the Spruiker, and he's shown that in his career to date. You look at his career record, Jules, and his record at the distance. He's had 16 starts over the mile for just the one win.
I think 1-2 could be tricky, barrier 1.
Barrier 1 for a horse that does get back in running as well. And you could make cases, I think, for Kisses from Kelly off that freshen up, putting in a performance if she can get into a nice enough spot from a tricky gate. And even Heskett, who has been racing super without a lot of luck at his past couple of starts. I think he's certainly not without a hope as the current rank outsider of the field in this lineup.
Wouldn't you love to own a few of these, Jules?
What about Bruce Almighty? Is there a more tougher competitor than Bruce Almighty? But it's going to have to be pretty tough too on the weekend with 60.5.
Over $500,000 prize money. Sobor, $500,000 prize money. The Spruker, $800K in prize money, and there's a few others in the race that have won 300 plus. It's just an outstanding little ode to horse racing in Perth, this race.
It is.
Couple of veterans that just know no other way but to just battle it out every fortnight.
It is. Did you have one for us, Brad, to round out the program? Is there one in this final event that tickled you?
Not particularly. If I was to be tickled, it'd be probably a two-handed tickle rolls with the Spruker and Sobor.
Don't mind it.
Speaking of two-handed tickles, the big lefty's just walked into the shit. Oh, Brazer.
He's
star of TikTok.
He's struggling with his new TikTok found fame, Bradley. Haven't seen him in months. I think it's been he's evolved. He's too good for this place anymore, unfortunately.
No, doesn't even look us in the eye anymore, does he?
He's bigger and better things to big left armour. But we are tidying up here for Straight Up on a Monster 12 race card on Saturday with 3 races transferred from that abandoned meeting on Wednesday, and it is best bets time for the team. Jules, did you have one or two you could throw out for our listeners out there on the weekend?
Man Crush, I thought just he was enormous last start. He's racing really well for Luke Fernie. Gets a weight swing on Twain's Angel. Small field. He won't be as far back as he was at his last start. And as I touched on, he's racing terrifically well. Drawn barrier 2, has an informed rider on board. I think he may be able to turn the tables on Twain's Angel. And I think he'll be pretty hard to beat.
Man Crush in the feature for Jules. Bradley, what have you got for us this weekend?
Race 2 will have a sneaky win-only bet hit the jackpot at around that $8 mark, hoping it can lead and give a good sight. Race 5, Fluoro Neuro at the $9. I think will run a great race. Race 6 each way. Success play at the $12 around the traps. Looks a great setup for it to run another very honest race. Race 7, Lons Delete. That'll probably get to the 550 plus mark, and that'll get me. And race 9, Roaming Danger each way. It's $15, $17 around the traps. So that'll definitely get me each way. I think it's a nice setup for it, and the horse is ready to win one.
Could be proven to look a little bit silly by Mitchell Pateman on the weekend, but for the 2-year-olds, looking at a little Dutch play for a pair of David Harrison trained gallopers in Just Walter John and Who's Talking. I loved both of their debuts in the same race behind the stablemate De General's Son, so I'll be looking at backing the pair of them. Race 6, number 3, Cruise to Victory in each way. Bet for me in what I think is an open race. Then we get a little bit deeper into the program for mine, gentlemen. Race 10, backing number 11, Deal Her In, and we'll be having a saver on the horse you like in that race, Brad, the 3 All Grunt, who just needs a bit of luck and a back to follow into the race from yet another wide gate. And best bet on the program for me, race 11, number 6, Rockin' the Jam, to round out my day there on the weekend. Thanks very much, Jules.
Can we just touch on Super Smink on Saturday?
Yes, we can.
In the All Stakes?
Absolutely, we can.
$34 with tap, $31 now with tap touch. I know she'll know she's in a race on Saturday in an elite field in top company, including Mr. Brightside, Pinstripe. There's a heap there. Can she run a cheeky race first up?
Absolutely, she can.
Nice setup. Nice draw, etc. For her to do that, and she can ping fresh and. They'll know she's thereabouts.
She only had about 2 weeks off, Dan was saying earlier in the week. Only had 2 weeks off from the Pinnacles Carnival. So she's got that residual fitness. She's rock hard fit. And I know Dan always, he's very confident about his horses, but he did say she was flying. he's not going over there just to make up the numbers. I think underneath, I just get the feeling that he's expecting a big run from Super Speak. I know the All-Star Mile over 1,600 is the key target. That's the main aim. But I reckon she could run a cheeky race on Saturday. Wouldn't surprise.
Dan's always been a great judge of what it takes to measure up over there, and I'm not sure I don't think he's got one wrong yet, so I wouldn't be doubting him in regards to Super Speak measuring up over there.
Oh, thank you very much for that, boys. Thanks, Bradley, for joining us once again, as always, this afternoon, and really enjoyed having you in, Jules, as well. You are going to hang around, obviously, for the remainder of the program as well, up until 6 o'clock, but I've liked having a bit of a different dynamic here in the studio this afternoon, Jules, so thank you very much for taking the time out of your day to come in.
I enjoyed it. Thanks for the invite, and the other fossil will be back next week.
He certainly will. That's all from us, the Straight Up team, for this Thursday afternoon. The episode will be up on all of your favourite podcasting platforms very shortly. And best of luck if you're having a bet out there at Ascot for Cyril Flower Stakes Day.
We hope you enjoyed another stimulating episode of Straight Up. All betting markets supplied by Tab Touch. All care, no responsibility went into the production of today's podcast.